The best part of my job, and that's every time with a police officer. Is this the way you want to live?
Hello, fellow BTMS students. My colleagues and I are doing a virtual career fair where we will be interviewing professionals who uphold the careers you guys aspire to have in the future. Today, we are interviewing a police officer by the name of Officer Grayson.
Hello.
Welcome, Officer Grayson.
Hello.
Before we get started, would you like to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Officer Grayson. I've been with the Black Patterson Police Department for 17 years, and I went to JFK High School.
Okay, thank you for that. Department do you work in at the police station?
Community policing.
So you just want to give us like more information on what that is and like what do you do?
Okay, from day to day, every day is a different day. Basically, I could be one day inside the school talking to preschoolers to third grade about stranger danger, or I could be talking to middle schools about gangs, violence, as well as high schoolers, gang violence and police encounter. Or I could be at a nursing home playing bingo with the elderly, or throwing them parties, or we could be at the hospital with the sick children. During the summer, we have an 8-week program, police program. It's a camp, actually, not a program. For the inner city kids, where they come in here in South Patterson Library, down at the bottom, and they do all types of police things. We teach them about workforce and stuff like that. Take them on field trips to like the Broadway shows, and to we went to the World Trade Center, camping, kiting, things like that.
Thank you for that. So like what does an actual day in your life look like?
An actual day,
Yeah.
those are the actual days. That's every day is a different day. It's not the same every day.
Okay. And before I move on to my next questions, Jennifer, do you have anything you would like to ask?
Hello, Officer Grayson. I have a few questions to ask you.
Sure.
When did you decide to become a police officer?
I decided I was working at a bank during 9/11, and seeing those people over there in New York falling out of the building, everything's going crazy. And then the group of people I work with at the bank, we was like, oh, we should go and help out. Like, we should try to go down there. But when we did leave the bank early because everything was shut down. They wasn't letting nobody over. And it was like thousands of people walking across the bridge. The only people that could go inside of New York was first responders. So I was like, you know what? If I become a first responder, then if anything like this was to happen again, I would be there to help.
Oh wow, so touching. My next question for you is what is the training like to become a police officer?
The training is pretty cool. You gotta know how to run at least 3 miles. I went to Bergen County Academy, so we started off with like 3 miles, and it goes up to like 5 to 10, and we do that Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 6 a.m. in the morning, and then we go to class Monday through Friday, starting at 8 o'clock. So we have PT in the morning, from 6 to 7:30. Then we'll wash up and then we eat, and then we do our training hours to learning 2C, 35 to 39, AG guidelines. We learn all types of police stuff, defensive tactics. Um, what else we learn? We got to learn how to shoot, of course. We learn stuff like that, police things, and that's a typical day of training. And we leave probably 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Was it hard?
It wasn't hard for me, no. I was
Like,
always active, so it wasn't hard for me.
like did they have to like mace you and pepper spray you?
Yes, they did. It was
Oh
only
my.
two females in our class at the time, so everybody got maced, and it affected every single guy in the class, but it did not affect me or the other female. Like, we got maced, they're maced you, then you got to go to like an obstacle course where you got to fight this dummy, and it's like a long thing, and we wouldn't do it like. So they thought that we got maced with water, but it was really got maced with.
And they tased you?
No, we didn't have
Oh,
tasers at the time. And we still don't here in Patterson.
I can't set myself up to voluntarily get maced in the eye. There was this one time when there was a fight by like in the area of Kennedy and like they was macing, I think, or whatever, and it only got on my jacket. And literally the next day when I was in school, like I had a bad habit of like biting on my zipper on my jacket, and the mace got in my mouth. I literally could not focus for the rest of the day. So
Right.
for that to get in my eye, I wouldn't even know how to react. Like,
Right. There was some guys that came like the next day, and it was like whatever you do, like don't get in the shower right away because all that makes would trickle on down, and everybody was like, the majority of guys was like, it was not a good thing at all.
mm. So like they put milk in their eyes and stuff like that. Like, so,
They used all types of things.
like
It was a fight by, it did affect me, not doing training, but it was a fight by Eastside High School, and one of my partners made a mistake and maced me. And
oh,
didn't affect me that day. I'm like, okay, now this is the wrong time to affect me, but it was
right.
fun.
So my next question was, what motivated you to be a police officer? But you kind of already answered that with the 9/11 situation.
Yeah.
So before I ask my last two questions, I probably just want to get some like fun, interesting facts from you. But before I ask my last two questions, Jennifer, do you have anything else you'd like to ask?
My next question for you is, what are some skills you must have to be a police officer?
Most certainly communication skills. And you also have to have patience. And you can't take one job to the next. But communication, respect, and patience carries you a long way.
What do you mean by can't take one job to the next?
Just say that if I get into an altercation with one person, I cannot take that anger or
Mm.
frustration to the next person, to the next job.
So like, has there ever been a time where like, okay, so wait, have you dealt with like, what's that thing called? Wait, what is it called when like parents beat on each other and stuff? What's that called again?
Domestic violence?
Domestic violence. Has there ever been a time where like you were so angry at like the guy for like putting his hands on a woman or something, and then the next case you've had of like domestic violence, like that anger has like ever re-triggered you or something? Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I get exactly what you're saying. See, that's where you got to have patience. And you can't take your job personally. You cannot take it. And you can't be biased or whatever. You could feel sorry for someone, but only you should do as a police officer is trying to help them out. That's your main goal, is to help them. Not to be like, oh, deep down inside we human and we want to say, you know what, you messed up, you shouldn't do that. But that's the fact that you should take it, and you're trying to get the victim help. You can also try to get that person, the guy or the female, you get them help as well.
See, that can't be a police officer. I would be like, you really putting your hands on her? Like, I would be so mad. Like, to know that. Well, I don't know. That's probably just like the immature high school me talking. But
No, because you're human. At the end of the day, you're human. So, and you feel like what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And you don't want to talk to them like, you know that's wrong. You know you're wrong. But there are some people out there that that's what they was brought up on. They saw their parents doing that. They think that's the right thing to do. This is how you're supposed to treat a woman or a man. So they carry that along with them a long way.
true,
So that's why they should also get help as well.
right. My next question for you is, what is the best part of being a police officer?
The best part of being a police officer, I can give you a story if you
Okay,
don't.
go ahead.
Okay, so I was a narcotic officer for several years.
Wait, I'm sorry. What is that? What kind of officer is that?
A narcotic officer is a drug officer,
Oh, okay.
drug enforcement. No, it's okay. So during my time in narcotic, I like to pray. I pray all the time. So during my time in narcotics, if they bring a woman in, it was just me and two other females in narcotics at the time. But I was the one that normally do all the patting down, make sure they don't have more drugs or syringes on them or whatever. So I take these girls into the bathroom, I pat them down. But every time I take someone to the bathroom, I pray. So and I pray out loud. I don't get into
Oh,
church like, oh guys, I don't get into stuff like that. But I just pray over them, and I
mhm.
pray for myself as well because that's just me. So I prayed for this one young lady, and that was just that. I just prayed for her. So a year later, I'm not in narcotics no more. I'm doing another. I'm somewhere else, and I'm walking down a street with my partner, another female, and this lady was like, Miss Trina. So anybody that I ever arrest or had any encounter with in narcotics, they know me as Miss Trina. So she said Miss Trina. So I'm like, okay, somebody from narcotics. And I'm like, hi, whatever. And she went to go hug me, but I'm that person like, no, the 2 feet rule. Like, who are you? Don't touch me or whatever. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? And she just like, I've been looking for you. Like, I've been going to like the front desk and I've been asking for you, but you never here. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Tears just started rolling down her eyes. And she was like, I just want you to know that I'm so grateful for you. She was like, when I came to you arrest me when you was in narcotics or whatever. She said, but you prayed for me. And nobody ever prayed for me the way you prayed for me. It wasn't personal, but it was just a prayer. I just prayed. And she said that day was the day that I brought those drugs to end my life. She said, because you prayed for me, she was like, I didn't even have to step foot into a rehab. She said, I did not touch another drug. I want to introduce you to some people who want to meet you. So she went to her car and she got her daughters and her husband. They all came out the car and they was just like, oh my gosh, you're Miss Trina. Oh, thank you so much. And they all become, and I'm sensitive, so I'm crying right along with them. I remember this lady or anything. I'm like, oh, okay. And we all just standing in the street crying, but it's just like, that was like, you could touch somebody just by a simple smile, just by praying for them, or just, a word of encouragement. Because everybody, life is not perfect, and people are going through things. And just because they're a crackhead or heroin crack or drug dealer or whatever, that don't mean they are bad people. There are just a lot of good people in bad situations, and that's how I try to take my day. So the best part of my job is just knowing that I put a smile on somebody's face. I can't save the world, but if I could save one person, like that means the world to me.
Yeah, yeah, your job is complete, basically. That
Yeah.
is such a touching story. That sounds like something like,
Right.
oh,
I was just like, and me and my partner at the time, we talk about it all the time. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's some more stories, but then I could go on and on. I just like helping people. So be able to be a police officer and actually able to help somebody, and then you see them, even the kids or whatever. Like when I go to the schools and then when I see them on the street and they go, Officer Grayson, I'm like, no, just call me Trina or whatever. And then now I get a personal relationship with them. They're able to call my phone if they have a problem. Their parents are able to call my phone. I like things like that because what's the purpose of me being here if I can't help you or help someone?
right. And a lot of people have like such like a bad image of what cops are or like how cops aren't. So I was never biased towards cops. Like I never had a problem with cops. I mean, I'm low-key scared of them, I'm not gonna lie. But like to be like, oh, I don't like 12 or I don't like cops or whatever. I never seen the like because there's some nice cops out there. Like people like it was this one time I was going to the mall and my mom doesn't like driving on the highway. So like she would park her car close to where the mall is and like we'll catch the bus or something. And we was going to like a little bakery shop and my mom was holding this book bag in her hand and it was me and my brother. And we was going to open the door for the bakery, and the cop literally came from across the street just to open the door for us. So like little things like that is what makes me like all cops aren't bad just because I don't know, like I just want to say like moral story, all cops aren't bad. I mean, some of them do overuse their authority, but I just feel like you got to give everybody a chance. Like,
Right.
it's not under the department you're working for. It's literally just what your heart is based off of. Well, I don't know.
Exactly.
People don't really be listening to me. Like, no, just
There's good and bad in every profession.
right. Literally, you said it the best. That's literally what I was getting at.
Mm-hmm.
It's not based off, oh, she's a cop, I don't like her. It's just,
right. Who you are as a person.
Right. Another question that I had is you said you like to pray a lot. A lot of jobs that I applied to or like that I've worked for, like religion plays a big role. Like even one job that I had, I couldn't show my cross. I had to like tuck my cross in my shirt. So like how did that play out for you? Like were there any restrictions on
No,
what you could
no. It's no restrictions for religion. Like we have all types of cops. We have Muslim. We have cops that don't even believe in anything. We have cops who believe in God. Your religion don't play a big part here or whatever. Everybody respect whoever you choose to believe in.
As it should be. So my last question to you would be, what is the worst part about being a police officer?
The worst part, and it's crazy because it's easier for me to answer this. The worst part is consoling the family after a tragic um,
Oh my gosh.
a shooting or the kid or no going. So I have a story for that as well. And
Go
this
ahead.
I could also tell you, it could take like this is a prime example of taking one job to the next.
Mhm.
So I'm driving down the street one day and I hear gunshots. So I'm
Oh.
like, that's close. Then I hear a unit saying, it was someone got shot on this street. So I'm right around the corner. So this car is chasing the person, the cop that called out the job is actually chasing that person, the person that did the shooting. So I'm the next car in the scene. So being the next car in the scene, I get to go and I see here this young guy. This day, his family was surprising his mother for her, I think it was her 62nd birthday party. It was a surprise. They was coming from out of town. So the mom, some of the family members, they didn't speak English, but the daughter said he was in the street. His brains was in the street. He was gone. He was dead. The guy shot him.
Oh my
What
God.
happened is that he got the car, and his niece, which is the girl's daughter, she was like 5 years old, ran out in the street, and he told the car to slow down, like yell at the car. The people in the car got angry, put the car in reverse, and shot him, and then drove off. So he died because he told the car to slow down. So now I'll pull up, and then this is what the niece is saying or whatever. Um, Take him to the hospital. He pronounced dead. Right after that, after I leave the hospital, after I see this guy with his brain blown out, the family going crazy. Like I told you earlier, I'm kind of sensitive. I'm crying right along with the family or whatever, and as always. So, guess what I gotta do? There's no therapy for me. There's nothing for me. There's nothing. I get right back in my car and I continue my day as if never happened. And that's every time with a police officer. Like there's no, let me take a 15-minute break. You can take a break, but after that break is up, you gotta go to the next job. And guess what? The next job may be a person that you pulled over or a domestic violence call. Now here you go, and back with the back of your head, I just seen a 17-year-old with his brain blowing out in the street over something stupid, and you calling me because not even domestic violence. You calling me because your neighbor music is loud, and you be like,
Oh,
"That's it." The music is, you want to say, you know what I just saw, but you cannot take that with you. You got to
right.
go knock on the people's door, wait for them to turn on the music, and go. You know what? Your music has to be low. Then you got to hear them screaming at you. Oh, they've been playing their music all week. Da, 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 da. And you just looking at them like this is like this is your biggest problem. But you still got in the back of your mind that what this woman, this mother, and what this niece, what they just experienced, what you just experienced. Then you go home at night and then you gotta hug your kids because you gotta be thankful, like, Dad, they still alive, or I made it home. So the hardest part on the job is leaving someone or taking another job to another, for one. That's why you gotta stay prayed up all the time. That's why I stay prayed up. Or you know what? You just gotta, you know, that's the hardest part, consoling the family.
I can't even.
And people think that police officers just have an attitude. Like it's not really like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some that do. No, everybody's not perfect. There's some that's just born just disgruntled. They're just angry for whatever reason, personal reason, whether it's work related or whatever. However, most of the time it's like you never know what that police officer just went through. You never know if a police officer is dealing with domestic violence at home themselves. You never know if that police officer child is in a drug head themselves. So we all human here. At the end of the day, we're not robots. We're human. And people be like, oh, he got a really nasty attitude. Maybe he do, but it's a reason. So communication and patience is and respect, like I said in the beginning, carries you a long way. Just be calm, be patient, or whatever. But the most part of it all, you got to stay prayed up. That's just my thing.
I agree with you 100%. And sometimes police officers be looking mean, but they really do be nice. Like they just have a natural mean mug. I feel like that's part of their job though. Like they can't look nice. Like they have to look mean.
No,
But I can't even see blood on my finger. So like To witness that, like the
You
closest
get used to it. You get immune to it really quick. Here in Patterson, unfortunately, as a police officer, when I first came on and it's a shooting or whatever, you like, oh, I'm gonna go. I want to see. I want to know what's going on. Like honestly, that was me. I was like, I want to make. I want to see what happened or whatever. And then probably like a year later, you're like, oh, okay. It's just normal. It becomes, and it's sad because that shouldn't be normal in our city and anywhere. That's not life, but
right.
it's starting to be life or whatever.
So like, has there ever been a time? Well, not has there ever been a time. So like, do you know about like all the cases that happen in Patterson?
Actually, I really don't. I don't know about probably 75% of the cases that happen. You know where I
Oh,
get my news from? Instagram and Facebook. I'm like, oh, that happened on Saturday. Like I really don't. I really don't because community policing, we do our own thing. Patrol, they do their own thing, and then you hear things through the grapevine. Family members be like, "Hey, do you hear about this or whatever?" Like, no, and then you call and it's confirmed. Like, wow, that's sad. It's unfortunate. So many things happen. We get probably at least a day in the city of Patterson. We probably get at least 500 calls. It's a lot of calls a day, and it's different things. It's different things. So something is constantly happening. I was born and raised here in Patterson. And I didn't see Patterson for what it really was. It's different in my era and then today's era.
mhm.
But I just see so much more being a police officer than I seen when I wasn't a police officer. And it's just like, wow, this is what Patterson is about. But you know what? The right leadership, this city could change.
So like, I have a story to tell about like when I seen what. Thank God I wasn't up close and like personal and stuff like that. I think I would have been traumatized literally. Like I can't even watch it in movies, and I know it's all staged. But there was this one time when I lived in like a different area of Pakistan, not where I'm at now, and there was a car shop like right across the street from my house. So my mom, she was having problems with her car, so we went to the car shop, and there was this little boy. He was not a little boy. He was probably like 15, 16, 17, or 18, one of those. And he was riding his bike. And my mom literally said something like, either he need a helmet or like he needs to be careful. I kid you not, she said one of those. And then literally as soon as we all got out the car, we heard boom. And everybody was just coming down the street. Everybody was opening the stores, the door up. Like everybody's attention was over there. But we were just all focused on fixing the car. So I get up the stairs and in my hallway, it's like a big window. So I could see right out the street. I could see right down the street, up the street, all of that. So when I see everybody going, I'm like, what's going on? So I stick my head out. And the same boy that my mother just was like, oh, you need a helmet. You need to be careful. One of what she said. He was on the street. His shoe was like literally like if this is where he was hit at, his shoe was all the way down there. His bike was in half and he was dead. Like he died. He got hit by a car and he died. And then the person who hit him um like drove away like nothing just happened. I don't understand how people could do that. Like you literally just hit a human being and drove away like nothing happened. First off, how are you gonna live with yourself? How are you gonna live with that if you don't even put yourself in and you never get caught? You're really just gonna be walking around like you can just kill a human. And then secondly, no, ain't no secondly, that's just wrong. I don't know.
It
But
is. It's wrong on many levels. You know, you hit someone. That person could be drunk and probably didn't know they hit someone, or they know they hit something, or
mm,
the person could be scared and they leave. Like, oh my gosh, what do they do? They panic, they leave, they don't know what to do, and they turn themselves in later. And some people just heartless and just leave.
wait, so if the person was scared, didn't know what to do, and then came back, would they get in trouble?
They will still get in trouble. You have to
And
see it
would,
an accident. But if they just say they left and they came back, we'll probably be more lenient on them because they did come back. Because you know, some people shock like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And they leave and then they think about it and they come back. You did come back to the scene. So you
right.
did take, maybe more lenient with them.
And what if the person hit them? What about the person that hit them? Like, even if it was an accident, even if they didn't run the light and he just so happens to be running the street, driving in the street, and they didn't see it, like, would that person, no matter what, that person's going to get in trouble?
If it was an accident, it was an accident. No. The person stay on the scene, then no. I mean, It all depends. If it's a fatality, they have to do the investigation. But if everything was clean with this person just ran out in the street and got hit, then they won't get in trouble.
I will never forget. The mother was like, "Oh my god, my baby, my baby." I was like, "Oh my!" Like I didn't. I was just like, you know what? It's time for me to go in the house because that right there traumatized me. I've been hearing stories of like situations that like boys that I know been in and stuff, and I'm just like, and y'all keep this lifestyle up. Like it don't be making sense to me. Like
Mm-mm.
people that be out in the streets and stuff, Miss Green, you know what I'm saying? Or like people be out in the streets, they be like, "Yeah, I done went through this, that, and third." It's like, but you're still here. Like you didn't find a job yet. You're still on this, you're trying to get yourself in a situation like that again. I just don't know. Like, I think I should be an advocate for kids. Like, on a serious level, though, one of my friends, they like in the street life or whatever. And like, I be telling him, like, I be praying for him and stuff like that. I be praying with him. Like, before he go to sleep or whatever, he'll text me, like, oh, I just made it in the house or whatever. And then, like, I'll just send a little text message or whatever of praying or whatever. And then he'll send one back or something. But he looked like, it's like he 50-50. Like he knows he can get a job and do what he needs to do with leaving that behind. But they be acting like it's so complicated. They be like, y'all don't understand why I'm in the streets, people looking up to me. I'm just like, what? I be so
I'm gonna
confused.
say this. Um, to some people or whatever, and I don't know about your friend, but with some people that do be out there hustling or whatever they call themselves doing, they seen their parents do it. Or they seen whoever they grew up with it. They see them do it. And some of these kids come from very good homes where they don't have to do it at all. And they just
Mhm.
decide that they want to do it. But for the most part, people become products of their environment. They see, oh, you know what? People think that the streets love them when the streets don't. People think that, you know what? Oh, he goes with the Jordans or with whatever jeans or with the Gucci, the Louis or whatever. This 9 to 5 is not going to give me the Jordans, the Gucci, the Louis. So let me make this quick money. It's easy or whatever. But they don't know the danger in it. They don't know that they're throwing their life away. They don't even know that they're killing someone just to get the Gucci, the they don't, it's not registering in their head. So that's why the most of our kids, they need mentors. He probably do. I'm not saying that him or any other person don't have a good mentor in their life, but that's why the majority of our kids, our children here in the city, it don't have to be your mother, your father, your sister and brother.
Right,
Because you want to know something? To be honest, we believe right now, sometimes we think we know more than our parents. And it's just that's just us being
right,
teenagers. Like, oh no, I could do, but I got a chance to do it better than my mom or my dad or whatever. So they're trying to find an easier way out or whatever. Or I could do it better. So what they do is they become a product of the environment. They see this guy hustling and he got this car, but not knowing that, you know what, this guy probably gonna be facing. It's just a matter of time before this guy be facing time in jail, or he gonna be dead on the street. Because the street do not love anybody. They will show you love. I mean, there's several jobs where people together all the time, driving around the car. You see 2 guys, 3 guys, they always together. Soon one of them gets shot, everybody go to the detective bureau, and only they say is, Dad, that's messed up. Their mother gonna be sad. And they laughing and joking in the corner. But that's your friend, that's your best friend that was laying in the street dead. And then we be like, and they say, tell us. Oh, we know who did it, but we not snitching. I had a brother say that. I know who shot me and killed my brother, but I'm not gonna say nothing. And guess what happened? 2 days later, he was dead. So it's just like people, it's the mindset. If we get into these kids' mind or whatever and tell them that life is so much bigger than Patterson, New Jersey, or wherever you at, or whatever circumstances you are in, life is so much bigger. This is a big world, and it don't stop right here. This is where it starts. And like I say, with whoever, anybody that you know that saw drugs or anybody you know that's into the business, just tell them, like, you know what, get out of it, because eventually your time is, you don't want to throw your life
right. You're
away.
either gonna end up on a t-shirt or 6 feet under. That's literally what I tell anybody that I know encountering any situation like that. I'm be like, you're either gonna end up on a t-shirt or 6 feet under. That's as real as it's gonna get. Like nobody's gonna tell you, oh, there's a way out, or all you're gonna get is 5 years. Nobody's gonna tell you that. Like, you really need to hear the truth. You're gonna die, or no, there's no or. You're gonna die, or you're gonna be
The
locked
way
up.
out is
You might truly
education
die.
and work hard. You're gonna have to want your way out, but you have to do it the right way. And the right way, don't get me wrong, is not always easy, but you're gonna have to be smart. You're gonna really have to be smart at working your way out of this. You have to work your way. You have to have a goal. And I tell everybody, sit down, write out your goals. Write out every day, okay, what I'm gonna do to get closer to this goal. That's how you're going to achieve every single goal. Your goal ain't to be only be the president of this CEO or this corporation of this CEO. I'm sorry, or a CEO of this corporation. You got to say, you know what? You got to start from somewhere, and not to
Right.
sound so cliche, saying that you got to start from the bottom to the top. Maybe start from the bottom to the top. You're going to have to start from the bottom, and
Right.
it's okay. Because you could be the maintenance guy today, but you could be the CEO tomorrow. Not the very next day, but you get my concept. Like, you got to work your way, and you got to be smart, and you got to put your name. You got to put yourself in rooms. You know what I'm trying to say? Networking is the best. You start networking, trust me.
Yeah, this just
Networking,
doing these interviews alone is like helping me open my mind to like a lot more than just the basics of being a doctor, being a lawyer, being a cop. No, I'm not saying anything's wrong with being a cop, but like you're gonna like just doing these interviews alone. But it's also the people you surround yourself with. Like,
exactly.
for example, Miss Grant. You know, not to toot your own horn, but Miss Grant's a wonderful teacher. Like, she always instills in us, self-love, like meditate. Like, she. So if we know, okay, even if we just had a bad period, second period, okay, I know I'm about to go to Miss Grant class, which is third period. She's about to lighten up the mood, about to make me feel good about myself again. But if you're surrounding yourself with a whole bunch of what you call gang members, there's no way you're gonna
Right.
think you can beat the odds of being one of those gang members.
Right.
So it's just all about taking the next step, risking it. A lot of these boys don't want to be by themselves or want to be called a snitch or a rat or like they switch their back on the gang or whatever. But it's like, y'all not benefiting from each other. Y'all
Right.
really not. Like, you
You
need
want to be. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You never want to be the smartest person in the room. You always want to be in a room where you can learn from someone else, and you also with work ethics. And you another thing I'm gonna just say, it just skipped my mind or whatever. Um, if you're in a group, if you're in a circle, and your circle is not inspiring you, you're not really in the circle, you're in the cage. You being helped. You got to be around people too that inspires you. You also want to be an inspired to someone else. If you have a younger sibling or whatever, bring them along, teach them the way, because where you probably could see something like I always say, here in the city of Patterson, it's a big old giant ship. We all on this ship, but we just have different views. We have different outlets. So where you and your household, if you have a younger sister or brother, whatever, well, you can say, you know what, I want the best for that. You don't know where their level is at. So you want to bring them along to be like inspire them. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like you got to still grab down and reach out and grab them up along with you. You learn and let them learn with you as well. And you always got to think that, you know what, I want more. I want more. Never settle. Do not. And this is for all you guys. You never settle in your position. You always strive to be better. Always. If it's a promotion test, take it. Take your chances. It's nothing, you won't fail. No, it's nothing like a failure. If you, I forgot how that wording go or whatever. You will only fail if you don't try. Basically, that
right.
you could be your own failure. If you gotta try. Just take a chance. Like I say, take a chance in
Yeah,
everything.
life literally is all about taking risks. Like, when you think like really hard on what is life, it's really all about taking chances. Because you could go, okay, well, it's easy for me to get a 9 to 5 at McDonald's, but then it's like, dang, I'm gonna have to actually put in a whole bunch of money just to go to college, where I won't even know if I'll end up in the career that I want to go to. But you just got to take that risk and see where it takes you, or you
Exactly.
can have a 9 to 5. So
Exactly. Exactly. But you know what? Hey, that might not work. Guess what? You try something else.
right.
Try something else. You just keep going. You just keep going. And no matter what profession you decide, what do you want? Do you know what you want to be?
Who, me?
Yes.
Please don't get me further than that. I don't know what I want to be right now, but as of right
Right
now,
now,
I'm
just
sticking
be
with law.
happy. Be happy. Just be happy and be grateful that you woke up. But you have to write a goal and you have to set goals. And you're gonna change. Like I said, you didn't get to college yet. You probably change your career profession so many times
Right.
before you're
I
like,
know
okay,
I'm
this
going
is
to.
what
I'm
I
so
like.
sorry, but I know I'm going to. Like, I already got into one school that I wanted to get into for law, so I'm already going there. But I know, like, probably within that 4 years, before the 4 years is up, I'm probably gonna switch to another major, a whole other school, whole other city, state. I don't know what
Right.
God has planned for me right now, but I'm ready. I think I'm ready. To be honest, I think I'm ready.
I think you are too. I see it. I'm like one of your biggest fans, and I don't even know you. But yes, like I see it. I see it all in you.
She's
Yes,
ready.
you got it.
Yeah.
She's ready, right?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Officer Grayson, she's one of my better communicators as a student in my class. And so I really rely on her for all the classes that I have with her to help lead the conversation, to help translate things to other people, share a different perspective, or say it in a different way than I am able to say it so that people can understand. But thank you so much for all of that. Chelsea, I don't know if you had any more specific questions that you had on your paper, or Jennifer, if you had anything else, but I know I just wanted to ask a little bit more about how has your vision of Patterson changed from your high school years? Just tell us a little bit about who you think you were when you were in high school, and how much of that high school person is still with you right now. Um, I don't know. I would love for these kids to just get a better understanding of the journey you've taken from high school, because you certainly didn't go into being a police officer. You were working in a bank. So, how did that happen?
Okay. Here go another story. I'm full of stories. So, high school. Like I say, I was freshman year. I was what they call it, the nasty night. Then I became a cheerleader. Then junior year, I was the captain under Miss Williams. I don't know if Miss Williams still in Kennedy. Miss Sarah Williams, the
I'm
English
not.
teacher. Okay, so I was a cheerleader. I love school. My favorite subject was history. Even if I was sick, I would go up to my history class. From there, I went off to college. I moved to Florida. Then I moved back here, and I grew up in. I don't know if you guys remember, but I'm quite sure if the teachers from Patterson. I grew up in CCP projects. That was like probably one of the worst projects in the city of Patterson. That's down there on Matlock Street by School 4 and School 28. You know where the towers are. So
Yeah,
behind the
I know
towers,
exactly what you're
there
talking about.
behind the towers is little villages over there now, Christopher Holt. But prior to that, there was four tall buildings with little buildings in between. That's where I lived at. That's where I grew up at. That's all I knew. And at the time, that was home. I was safe there. Like honestly, I was safe. We're outsiders. Like when I walked through the projects, people thought I was walking through the projects to go home. So my senior year, I'm like, oh, I got to go home. I left something, whatever. Invited some of the Chili's to my house. They were like, oh my gosh, like you live here? And I'm like, yeah, like what's wrong? I'm thinking like, oh, this is what's wrong? What's wrong with the projects or whatever? So, and it was like we always thought that you walked through here to get here. We never knew you lived in the projects. I'm like, okay, whatever. Growing up in the projects, they had housing police at the time, and I never had any encounter with the housing police or anything. But I had family members that had problems with the police, and um, my family members fight people there. I mean, you fight one day, you argue next day, or whatever. Outside of the projects was like another world. Cause I was never, my mother always kept me sheltered. It was either school, home, school, home. So downtown Patterson was, that's it. School, home, I could go downtown Patterson. To go anywhere else, it was just like, okay, a whole new world to me. When I when I came back from college or whatever, and walking around back then, you was able to in the city of Patterson, you was able to walk anywhere. The only thing is, it was how like now they say the up the hill and down the hill beef. They had that way back then, but people fought, and guess what? They went home to talk about it. Now nobody don't want to fight.
Everybody wants
Everybody's
to know.
embarrassed because there are cell phones that record. Nobody want to be seen on the cell phone or in a video getting beat up. So now, back then, it wasn't. shootings was, it probably was a shooting here and there, but it wasn't like how it is now. Like it's a norm now. You walking down the street now, I can't walk down the street. I'm a police officer. I don't even drive up certain streets with my, if my kids in the car with me, I won't drive on certain streets because you never know where a stray bullet is gonna come. So it's like I take the long way home. I don't live in Patterson anymore, but when I did live in Patterson, I used to take the long way home. There are things like I brought up CCP projects because there are things in the projects that I grew up in the projects where everything went down, but my mind was closed to it because I wasn't looking out for it. But when my mind opened now, I rode down the street. One of my kids still go to school here in Patterson, and we riding down one of the streets, and we see this lady like walking out like a zombie, like on four, like hands on the ground, and she just, and my son like, oh my gosh, so now he think it's a circus. Mom, let's ride down that street again. He think it's a, no, that's not right. Like, but he was young at the time, like it's a music, like oh my gosh, like mom, look at this, oh my, and it's like oh my gosh, or whatever. Now, and it's sad to say that a lot of people from out of town bring their kids to Patterson and be like, is this the way you want to live? And it's so unfortunate. And this is here in our city that we love so much. And the kids like, oh no. And these are some of my classmates that even bring, and I'm not talking about police classmates, I'm talking about my high school classmates, like, or grammar school classmates. They'd be like, oh, I bring my kids to Patterson. Because, but back in the day, you could bring your kid to Patterson because we grew up in Patterson and you'd be okay. So to also answer your question, what motivated me to be a police officer wasn't only 9/11. When I became a narcotic officer, I didn't ask to become a narcotic officer. I just believe God honestly put you in the place for a reason. So when I got the call to go up to narcotics, I'm like, what? I don't want to be a narcotic officer. And then I stepped back and I thought about it. And I said, you know what? It's a reason. Let me go. But my reason was God put you in place for a reason because maybe I could help somebody not be like my brother or in my brother's situation. So to stay on this job, I only was going to give this job 10 years. Because like I said, I was just like, oh, I want to help or whatever. And I was like, oh, I want to do something else. But I grew to love, like I liked my job in the beginning, but I grew to love my job. And there's a lot of more stories I could say or whatever. But honestly, I believe I helped a lot of people without being said. And that story right there alone is like with my brother's situation. I didn't tell not one of my family members that I was in the police academy. Only my mother and my brother that was there that day. He was in the military. He was in Afghanistan at the time. And I called him when he called home. That's when I told him. I said, and he was like, really? That's what you want to do? And I was like, yes. And I was just like, but it was for 9/11 at the time. But then when I told him, he called back, I said, you know what? They put me in narcotics. And I was like, I do not know why they put me there. And he was like, well, that's the reason, Trina. And I was like, you're right. And I believe that reason was fulfilled. The purpose of me being there, of God put me there, it was fulfilled throughout the years. So yeah.
Um, that was a crazy story.
Yes.
It's a little poetic justice, yeah?
Yes.
It's like you were meant to be there to undo something that was done to your family. So
Correct.
thank you for that. And it's just awesome to see too that you were always a very active student and that you loved to learn and that you just loved being a part of school and school was fun. And that you had that opportunity.
Yes, I love. I don't know. I feel like the kids. Why are they teaching nowadays? I said because the kids don't want to go to school. The majority of it. I'm like, back then we
Chelsea
loved
loved
walking
school.
up that hill. We loved going to Hitchcock Stadium and marching. Like it was just like school was everything, and I was happy. Like every time I was like, it's time to go to school. When I got sick, like I say, history is my favorite subject, and that was my eighth period. So if I'm sick, I'm home all day. But let 140 come. I'm walking up that hill because I'm going to history class. I'm not missing history for nobody. That was just my thing. And you always gotta learn. Even at my age, whatever, I'm still learning. Every day we learn.
This job that my mom worked at, they had to wear like red and blue vests. So like the junior staffs had to wear blue vests, and like the senior staff had to wear red vests. And one lady was leaving a job one time. I don't know if she got shot or like if they like beat her up or they like just ran up on her and scared her or whatever. But she was wearing a red vest, and when she left the job that day, I really don't know if she got shot. I should probably tell a story knowing all the details, but something happened to her because she had a red vest on. So you know, like the gang blood and all that. That was the whole reason behind it. So now they can't wear those colored vests anymore.
Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. I don't encourage anybody, like I say, to join any type of game, to be in the street, because it doesn't lead anywhere. It really, really doesn't. It leads to it's just self destruction. It leads to destruction. Like just stay focused or whatever. Life is not easy. It's really not. Parents are trying, and for those that's not trying, we don't know their situation. We still can't judge them, but we have to continue to try and make the best of our lives or whatever.
Oh, I keep going.
Mr. Grayson, this is just an amazing time with my students, and I so appreciate it. You know, I talk to them every day, and so at some point they get jaded with the things I have to say. One go at the other, but it's nice for them to hear the same kind of messages from other sources, and just to get a wider breadth of this same kind of instruction and direction and counsel. It's just priceless, and I just thank you for that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing the stories. You're an awesome storyteller. And you should do some more of that.
It's a lot. I mean,
It like makes the
I love
interview
my
like less
job.
boring if we have stories.
Yes, I love my job. I really do, and I love the people of Patterson. I do. Um, I love fellow police officers. Like I don't know. I'm a loving person. I try to be. I always believe, like, you know what? Whatever you put out, the universe will throw it right back at you. So you put out good vibes, you receive good vibes. You receive it.
Wow. Well, you have our best, and just stay safe during these very challenging times. Who knows what happens next, and how close a lot of the things that are happening more in our state capital sort of filter through to the rest of the states. But please stay safe, you and your family.
Thank you.
And, thank you again.
Thank you guys
Yes.
for having me. It was nice speaking to all of you guys.
Nice to meet
Alrighty
you.
then.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Welcome.